Okay. All right. So for these kinds of questions, just remember, if it's parallel, then the two gradients will be equal, right? So if two lines are parallel, then the two gradients must be equal to each other. Okay. But if they are to be perpendicular, then the product of the two gradients, so m1 times m2, would be -1. Okay, or m1 equals to -1 over m2. So this is what they mean by the negative reciprocal. Right? Okay, all right. Let's see. Let's say question 2a. Find equation of the line that is parallel to the given line and passes through the point 0, 8. So question 2a here. Let's have a look. So we're given the line y is equals to 4x plus 2, all right, and then it passes through the point 0, 8. So first, you need to recognize that the gradient of the line that we're given is 4, so m1 equals to 4, all right, and the equation that we need to find would be y equals to some sort of m2 times x plus c2, okay? So it passes through the point 0, 8. Now it's parallel, it's supposed to be parallel to the first line, which means m2 must be equals to m1, right? And that equals to 4. Okay, and then c2 is the y-intercept, and look, this point 0, 8 is the y-intercept. The y-intercept equals 8, which means that c2 is equals to 8. Okay, so now we've got these two values, m2 and c2. Then the line would just be y equals to 4x plus 8. Okay, so that's for question 2a. Now, let's say for question 2d, you can actually see that straight away. So question 2d, that's the value m1. So m2 is the same as m1, which must be -4 over 5. All right, and then the y-intercept, once again, is just that point there, which means the answer for question D would be y equals to -4 over 5 and then plus 1/2. Sorry, x times x and then plus 1/2. Okay, now for question 3, like question 3a, perpendicular to the given line. So we need a new line that's perpendicular to y equals 3x minus 2. All right, so say for question 3a here, y equals to 3x minus 2. This is the original line, and 0, 3 is the point. So the gradient of this one is equals to 3, and then the point is 0, 3. So we know that the c2 value, the y-intercept of the line we're looking for, is equals to 3. Now note that perpendicular, so m1, so the gradient m2 must be equals to -1 over the gradient m1, okay, or the gradient of the first line, which is 3 here. So that's just be -1 over 3. So now that's just how you can find these two values, and then you can just write the answer here. Therefore, the line that's perpendicular is y equals to -1 over 3x, and then you plus 3. That is it. Right, moving on to question 4, for example. Write the equation of a line parallel to y equals 4. Now, y equals 4 means it's a line where every single y coordinate is 4. So what's the line y equals to 4? If you look at the y equals 4 is here, right? And all the points has the y coordinate equals 4 will form a horizontal line. Okay, so this horizontal line is the line y equals to 4. All right, so we need to find the line parallel to y equals 4, so it's parallel to this line, and it must pass through the point. For example, question A1 would be passing what, through 0, 1, which means it must be a horizontal line, and it passes through the point y equals to 1. So that's just y equals to 1 is the equation, right? Because y equals to 1 would be a parallel line here, and it passes through the point 0 and 1, right? This is the point 0, 1. X is 0, y is 1. Now, and then this point, right, another line that is parallel to y equals 4, which is a horizontal line, and passing through that point, you only need to look at the y coordinate, okay? Because the point is x is -3, y is -2, which is that point there, and a horizontal line that passes through that is just the horizontal line passing through the y coordinates of -2. So that's y equals -2, okay? Then when it's parallel to x equals to -2. So x equals -2 for question B, is the idea that for every single point on it, the x is -2. So -2 on the x-axis is here, right? So it's basically all these points here. So we want to find a vertical line. A vertical line passing through 3, 0. So x is 3, y is 0 is here, and the vertical line passing through that is x equals 3 is the answer for B1. And similarly, if you look at the point -3 and -3, x is -3, y is -3. A vertical line passing through that is simply the vertical line with the equation x equals to -3, because that's every single point where the x coordinate is -3. All right, so the next one is a little bit tricky. So perpendicular to y equals -3. So it's perpendicular to a horizontal line. So that's a horizontal line, right? Perpendicular to horizontal line is basically a vertical line. Okay, so we're finding a vertical line that passes through the point. For example, C1 would be 2, 0. All right, C1 passing through the point 2, 0, x equals to 2, y equals to 0. So that's the point here, and the equation is just x equals to 2, because that's a vertical line, right? And this would be the y-axis. All right, so C1 would be x equals to 2. All right, so see if you can, it will make sense for the other questions. But you want a line perpendicular to x equals 6, right? X equals 6 is a vertical line, right? X equals to 6 here. So you want a line perpendicular to that. That must be a horizontal line, right? So now you got to find where this horizontal line is going to lie so that it will pass through those points. So the first one is 0, 7. So x is 0, y is 7. So I will shift this horizontal line up here, which means the equation is simply y equals to 7 is the answer for D1. All right, moving on is question 5. Find the equation of the line which is parallel to this line, which means the line that we're looking for has the gradient is -3, right? It must be the same as this gradient because it's supposed to be parallel. And then passes through the point 3, 0. This is not a y-intercept, it's an x-intercept, which means that for question A, so far what we know is that y must be equals to -3, x, and then plus C2. Alright, because the second equation, so I'll use C2. Now, in order to find C2, you need to substitute the point 3, 0, which is what they're saying here. Substitute the point 3, 0 to find the y-intercept. So x equals to 3 and y equals to 0, right? So 0 equals to -3 times 3 plus C2. So 0 equals -9 plus C2, which means C2 would be +9. Therefore, the line is y equals -3x, and then instead of C2, I'll write the answer, which is +9. That is the equation of a line that will pass through the point 3, 0 and parallel to -3x minus 7. Right? Just remember, don't get confused, this is the line number 1. Okay, so the formula would be y equals to m1 times x plus c1. The line we're trying to find is another line, so line number 2, where the formula would be y equals to m2x plus c2. It's a different gradient and a different y-intercept. But because they're parallel, so m1 must be equals to m2. Now note that for question like question C, it is perpendicular. Alright, so perpendicular means, so based on question C, we can see that m1 equals to 5. So then m2 must be -1 over m1, right? Because the second line is a perpendicular to the first line. So it'll be -1 over 5. Which means that we've got the second equation, y equals to -1 over 5, x plus c2. And again, in order to solve for c2, you need to substitute the point 1, 6. So substitute 1, 6. So x equals 1, y equals 6. Then I get 6 equals to -1 over 5 times 1 plus c2. Okay, so that will be 6 plus 1 over 5 equals c2. And then just add that up, fraction addition, make that over 1, make the denominator the same. That'll be 31 over 1 over 5 equals c2. So the equation is y equals -1 on 5, x plus 31 over 5 is the answer for C. Alright, try out the other questions and tell me how you go.